What are you doing in the fire? As Christian men, we are called to surrender our lives to Jesus. To surrender to Jesus means to give in, not to give up. We are called to use our strengths, abilities, and opportunities to grow and prosper. We are called to strengthen ourselves, our families, and our communities. We are called to be disciplined, courageous, and honorable. This is Surrendered Strength. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Surrendered Strength Radio, where we are focusing on living a life that honors and glorifies God. This is our mission. This is our purpose. This is what we're doing. And this is what we're moving forward in. So today's episode is part 2 of Trial by Fire. And I'm your host, Adam Lansing, and I'm glad to have you as always. And before we dive into today's episode, I just want to encourage you to like, subscribe, share, do all the fun things that get more people involved, get more people living a life that honors and glorifies God. Thank you. Now, what are you doing in the fire? So last week, I talked about how we go into a fire, we get put in a fire to be molded, forged into what God is calling us to do, what He is creating us for. And we have the choice to remain in the fire. We can walk away from God, get out of the fire, at least to a certain extent. Life in general is kind of a fire. Sometimes it's a dumpster fire, but it is a fire, and your attitude in the fire is going to determine how you move forward in life, whether you're going to grow or whether you're going to just cower and just basically burn. Kind of that crash and burn idea. So today I want to focus on, what are you doing in the fire? We can go into a fire. We can willingly go into a fire to be forged and molded, or we can allow our actions, allow God to put us in the fire, allow our actions to turn up the heat by not listening, by not paying attention. But what are you doing in the fire is the real question. And there's things that we should be doing, and there's things that we should not be doing. And I want to just kind of go over some of those. First, we should be, and this all comes from Galatians chapter 5, where we're talking about the fruits of the Spirit we should be producing in the fire. Just because we are in the fire, just because we are being molded, being forged, doesn't mean we shouldn't be producing. It actually means we should be increasing our productivity in the produce that we are producing. So we should be loving. We should be seeking God, seeking where He is really trying to mold us. There's different areas in our lives where we can be molded at different times. We should be, practicing and just remaining in joy and being example of joy. And the other day I was thinking about this, and as I look at my own life and the fruits of the Spirit, and going through the list, I'm like, okay, I'm doing decent on some of these, and then I got to joy, and I'm like, man, I'm not producing much, if any, joy in my life and in the lives of those around me. And it kind of became more evident. I'm like, man, how do I produce joy? And I was just kind of doing some internet searching and and I don't remember what the topic was. It was something about finding joy in the Lord or something. But it dawned on me, to find joy, we must find God. And when we find God, we will find joy, because God is joy. God, the Holy Spirit produces joy. So when we are living in God and remaining in God, truly remaining in God, we should be joyful. And I'll be the first to say that I'm not the bubbly type, but we can be producing joy, and just that attitude of just being content, being satisfied with where we are, and enjoying where God has us right now. That is a way to produce joy. And that's one thing we should be doing in the fire. We should know that God is forging us. So we should be joyful that we are being forged. We are being molded into something better. We are gaining, we are growing. And we can be joyful. We can produce joy in any season of our life. And again, I will be the first to admit it. I have been doing a terrible job at this. So that's just been one thing I've been trying to really practice over the last week or so, last couple of days, as I realized how much I've been lacking in that area. So we need to be producing joy. We need to be still and be patient. Just be patient in the fire. God is, again, he's just forging us and molding us, and his timing, his process is perfect. So just enjoy the time in the fire. Know that you're growing if you are seeking God, and just be still. We need to remain self-controlled. Just because we're in the fire doesn't give us the ability or the need to become uncontrolled. We need to remain our self-control, remain that godly man, woman that we're called to be. We also need to be gentle with others and ourselves. When people are in their trials and in being forged in the fire, it's not typically a positive experience. I mean, if we realize what's actually happening, that God is molding us, it should be a positive experience. But a lot of people, myself included at times, forget that God is molding us, and the end result is going to be far better than the beginning result. But we need to be gentle with people. Jesus meets people where they are. When I was a football and wrestling coach, one of the things, as I wanted to coach like Jesus, how did Jesus teach people? How did he meet people? And one of the things I wrote down on a board was, Jesus met people where they were. He didn't expect them to be something or do something differently when they came to him. He met them where they are. So we need to meet ourselves where we are. We need to meet others where they are. Just be gentle, and be kind. Be kind to others. Be kind to ourselves as well. These are just this is just a short list of some of the things that we can be doing and should be doing while we are in the fire, while we are being forged. Again, just goes back to the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control. This is what we should be doing, allowing the fire to produce more of this as we are being molded. because that's what we are to be producing anyway. So those are some of the things we should be doing. So what should we not be doing in the fire? What we should not be doing is nothing. This is exactly what the enemy wants. The enemy wants us to do nothing. He wants us to be paralyzed. He wants us to whine, mope, moan in the fire, in the pain. And when we're doing that, we are focusing on the situation and we're not focusing on God. We're not focusing on the outcome. So we need to make sure we are keeping our focus on God and not the situation, because every day is going to be a situation. Every day is going to be an attack. When we are seeking God, we are going to get attacked, and the attack is going to be similar, but it's going to be different at the same time, depending on what situation you're in, what season you're in, and what the devil wants us to do is to focus on the situation, focus on the pain, and he wants us to believe that God is not with us. God doesn't care about us. That we don't have what it takes. That we're not good enough. And these are all lies. God is with us. We have what it takes. We are enough in Jesus. So don't look at the situation, whatever your situation may be. It could be relationship problems. It could be finance problems. It could be work related problems. Could be health issues. Whatever your situation is, focus on the outcome. Focus on the life giver. Focus on Jesus. Focus on God. This is what we should be doing. And when we do that, we produce those fruits so much easier, because we are focusing on the branch, or excuse me, we're focusing on the vine. As the branch, we are being fed by the vine. We are going to produce those fruits that come from God, that come from Jesus, that come from the Holy Spirit when we focus on them. So we should be focusing on God, and we should be fighting against the desires to do nothing, to wallow in our situation. And again, I can admit I've been there, and the fastest way to overcome the wallowing, overcome the moping and the whining, and focusing on the situation is A, focus on God, and B, do something. Do something productive. I dealt with depression years ago when I lost a buddy to suicide, and one of the things that I felt during my depression, it just felt like there was chains over my shoulders, and it was just pulling me down into the ground, pulling my head down, wanting me to look at the ground. And it wasn't until I started being physically active again that I was allowed. I felt this feeling of releasing of the chains and being able to pull my shoulders back and sit up, stand up, and look up and see that God is working in all of this. And again, in whatever situation is happening, God is working, and we can use the abilities and opportunities we've been given to honor and glorify God, and to produce the fruits of the Spirit, and to focus on God. And for me, as a fitness person, as a athlete, that was something that really helped me, overcome depression. That wasn't the only thing. Being active is good, but focusing on God is better. It is it is the more important part. But God has given us the abilities and opportunities to be able to move our bodies, to be able to focus on the things that are important. And this allows us to overcome the situations, the challenges, all the fruits that God has given us, the blessings that God has given us. This allows us to overcome any situation, but the focus is still on God. He is our strength. So I just want you guys to be aware, have the awareness of your situation and where you should be focusing on, and have intentional thoughts, intentional focus, intentional prayers towards God, towards Jesus. Because when we're in the fire, it sucks, but we can embrace the suck and focus on Jesus, and it is better. Life with Jesus is better. It's not easy, but it's better. So embrace the pain, embrace the challenge, embrace the trials that we've been promised, because they persecuted Jesus first. So we will be persecuted as well. Embrace it and allow God to mold you and forge you in whatever fire you're going through, and continue to produce the fruits of the Spirit. Continue to love and enjoy, produce joy, produce peace, produce patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is what we're called to do in the fire. We're going to be in the fire. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And realistically, in some way, we're going to be in the fire every day. So I encourage you to just continue to move forward. Be still, be content, but continue to produce, continue to move forward. I know that sounds contradictory, but we can be still and still move. Okay? Be still and be at peace in your heart, but move forward and produce and just be a blessing to others. So that's what we should be doing in the fire. I'm going to leave it at that, a little shorter this week, but you should be benefiting from this. And I just encourage you to really focus on the areas where you can produce more of the fruits, and fix your eyes on Jesus and not your situation. Think of Peter when Jesus is walking on water. He's focusing on Jesus. And when he looks to the winds and the rain and focuses on the storm, he starts to sink. Don't sink like Peter. Focus on Jesus. And it's going to be an everyday refocusing. And that's okay. Be focused every day. I love you. And just continue to move forward. Continue to honor and glorify God. Thanks for listening. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook at Surrendered Strength. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and live the Surrendered Strength code. Discipline, courage, honor.